Blessings to all, and welcome to another episode of Elevate the Mic. And I'm your host, Max Mupese. Today is a special day, not only because we have a special guest, but because we're going to have an insightful conversation you guys want to listen to. Now, the person that's sitting right next to me goes by the name of Word, but I want to say a Word. She's not only a professor, she's an MC, a creative spirit, and I would say a thought leader. How you doing, Word?
I am blessed. Thank you very much for that introduction.
Absolutely.
Wow,
Great,
it got me
great.
feeling like a Super Saiyan out here.
That's great. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling blessed. I'm feeling great. Yeah, I'm feeling energized. I'm ecstatic that we're about to have a conversation, and yeah.
Okay, that's great. I want to start by saying something you've quoted recently and that really made me think in a certain way. So you said, to dance freely and unapologetically to defy gravity with the forces of nature. What does that mean exactly?
I feel like that to me was more tapping into the abstract mind of an artist and understanding the level of empowerment that comes with being vulnerable. Understanding the places that you can go are beyond your wildest dreams and your imagination when you really allow yourself to just sit in that pocket and be like, if we're talking about dancing or artistry in general, if you just allow yourself to be like, this is a moment and I'm going to live this moment, I'm going to absorb this moment, I'm going to enjoy this moment, but I'm also going to release and let that moment kind of be out there in the universe. So then moments like this that feel good might be creating that frequency to come back. You know,
you said an important word. You said release. What do you mean by release? Release
whether
stress or
release everything, mental health is a big thing, and I feel like artistry, we take it a lot to be performative, but it is also a tool that you can use just to allow yourself to express. So when I say release, I would tie that to the word express, whatever it is, whether it's happiness, whether it's sad, whether it's anger, whether it's just pure joy. You expressing that is putting that out there into the atmosphere where someone next to you might be able to take that energy and transmute it in a way that's going to relate and resonate with them. So I feel like it's a big thing when I say to unapologetically be. It's just not necessarily on a disrespectful stance of like, yo, boom, this is me, is what I do, but just affirming and being like, okay, changing your tone, like it is okay for me to explore different versions of myself, and outlets like artistry are great things to do that. So
It's interesting because as teenagers, even younger children, we always used to think that dancing was an activity, we're just having fun, but now I realize it's more of a therapy. There's so many ways to go about it. And would you say that's something that truly helped you in a way also?
Word, like even when we were growing up, like having that type of life where, okay, you're going to school and you're trying to get good grades, but then behind the scenes at home, things might not be going the way that you're portraying them when you're out in that other world. But then when you have those pockets of like, okay, you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning because you're going at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to school for when there's like a reprise or récupération, so you can go to class. And you decide that you're going to go dance in the hallways, is because there's something that you need to say that you're not be able to say with words possibly. And that was my experience. There was a part of my life where I felt like I was mute, I couldn't say things. My throat chakra was completely blocked, and dancing was a language for me. It was more than that. It was body language. It was like, it's like if I'm sitting here like this right now, what I mean? My body language is telling you something no matter what my voice is saying or my words are saying. You understand? So to me, it was something deeper than that. Whereas when I started, I was younger. It was just like a community thing that I was doing with my family. It was cultural. And then as you get older, you realize this is something I really enjoy. And then I got older and I was like, no, this is something that I need. And then it was like, okay, this is something that maybe other people need, and how can I be of service with what was of service to me? So still being conscious that my art is my art, but not being selfish with what I'm able to do with it,
That's great. So you're serving your way up to success. That's a great way to go about it. And people watching this, some people don't know that you grew up in Montreal. You're actually raised in NDG, if I'm not mistaken.
I was raised in Halifax, actually, Nova Scotia.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I came down here. I'm not quite sure, but I spent a couple of years out there and then came out here, and then NDG.
Okay, NDG, that's great.
Yeah, we moved around a little bit, but ended up in Laval for a bit. We moved around. Because my parents worked multiple jobs and stuff like that, and worked also in the industry. My father also did different things in nightlife, production. So I got to meet people like Corneille when I was younger. Really be around that world. Sometimes go and see performances and stuff like that. So, it was a movemented world, kind of like the one I'm now. Yeah.
So that influence also inspires you to, do things that are particular related to the entertainment industry.
For sure, because I grew up in it.
That's good. And you spent some time in Toronto and then moved back. How has this process helped you to reinvent yourself?
When I moved to Toronto, it was a roller coaster, but it was a great one. You know how you get on a roller coaster and you're like, yeah, you're conscious, you're fully aware of like the danger of being on a roller coaster, but you're like, it's pretty safe to this point. You know, people get on it, people do it. You know, so then you take that ride, and then at a certain point it stops, but you know that it's going to continue. That's what it felt like being in Toronto. It was like, okay, everything was going great, and then kind of COVID happened, and obviously for artists it's more difficult and stuff like that. Studios closed, different things happened, and I had to come back to Montreal. And at first it was like a little sad because I was like, wow, I did all these things so I could be able to make it out there. I was teaching, things were great, different business opportunities. I felt like I was really working towards opening a community center, which is what I want to do eventually in the future.
That's amazing.
And I was like, okay, I'm able to save and work towards that. I'm on the right path, you know? And then COVID happened and different things in life happened. And I was like, maybe I need to take a step back and reassess the foundation that I've built. You understand what I'm saying? So coming back to Montreal was great for me to realize that my foundation is solid. I can literally take what I've built and go anywhere in the world, and I'm confident that I can rebuild it, you know? But when is the time and how is it supposed to go is kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay. And you never were really worried about getting out of your comfort zone? Because the idea of when people say, when you stay too long in your hometown, you feel like you're not really evolving. Have you ever thought about that? Like coming back to Montreal, you're coming back to your comfort zone?
The concept of a prophet is always shut in their hometown type of thing. Like that I definitely went through. I had my spiel of complaining and doing like my Instagram rants and all that stuff. And then I came to the realization of the only thing that could ever stop me is myself. You know, and that's an awareness and understanding, something we hear all the time, but you need to overstand it. You need to really put yourself in that position of like, I'm going to do this. And when it comes, I think my style, when I talk about aesthetically and just the aura that I have, has always been kind of more bold and more out there and like trying different colors, different things. So being out of my comfort zone and not being afraid of things that might seem ridiculous to other people, like getting up and being like, I'm going to Toronto on a whim. That's and just like, you know what I mean? That's, you know, it's the type of thing that got me to where I am today. You know, the understanding of the trials and tribulations, the errors and stuff like that, but it was all me. So there's nothing that I can't say wasn't me. You know, I'm trying, yes, there's influence when you're younger, but for the past couple of years, there's no mistakes even that I've made or any great things that I've done that I can't say it wasn't all me, you know? So that accountability of...
Truly betting on yourself.
Toronto taught me that, yeah.
Okay.
It's possible.
That's it.
It's possible.
Now, going through the ups and downs of the entertainment industry, you also make music. At one point, you made music. So I was wondering, how do you keep your sanity in an entertainment industry, or you know, in a field full of sharks?
I feel like making music is one thing, and then being the music is another. So like we were talking about outlets, I really need this music. I really need this art. I really need to be able to do it in a 9-to-5 way, let's say, you know what I mean? You make your passion your paycheck, but then on the other side, I need to go home and to be able to be like, let me just put a song on and shake. Let me just Harlem shake. Let me just rock all day. Let me just bounce just because that's how I feel. Let me just close my eyes and allow myself to speak. You know, sometimes I'll be just like, I'm going to go take a walk for 20 minutes and I'm going to put instrumentals on. I'm just going to release. I'm going to work that because it's also an exercise, right? If you want to be a rapper or an MC, you know, singers, they drink tea, they work their vocal cords. You also have to push that expression out there, I believe. You know, so in order for me to be able to make a proper album or to make good music or to even have good conversations, I need to be able to exit and evacuate everything that's in me that kind of might block that, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you're always working on what you need to release, certain things that are speaking to your core, and making sure that you're really in tune with your own emotions. Right. This way you don't necessarily get lost in, you know, in the sauce, as they say.
Yeah, and I'm a human, but I'm pretty good at navigating the sauce.
Right.
There's a little bit of sauce over there, and it's too much for the drip, so I'm not gonna go over there. But yeah, I feel like in order to receive, you gotta release. Everything is full circle, you know. And I had to learn a lot of different lessons, but where I am today, 29, I feel like, yeah, in order for me to receive, I gotta release.
That's it.
You know, and I'm around people constantly, and I want to be able to hold space, but I want to be sincere. That's the key word I'm trying to focus on. If 2024 could be a word, it would be sincere. I'm trying to really sincere to infinity and beyond. Like, I want things to feel good for real, you know, so.
You said the word lesson. Speaking of lesson, what is a recent lesson you've passed on to some of your mentees that you'd like everyone watching this right now to learn from?
Something that I always use and that I was reminded of recently by a mentor was going back to square one, you know what I mean? Or even going back to before that, the conception, the thought of, you know, and realizing that once upon a time, you knew you would be here. You know what I mean? You just didn't know how you were going to get here, but you knew you'd be here. Why? Because you saw it, you visualized it first before you even knew. You probably had a dream, you know, and I believe in those things. Like, I knew I was going to be where I am today. I just didn't know it would be like this. You know, I knew I was going to be in a position where I would be able to mentor people because I had people that mentored me, and I was like, one day I'm going to be able to transfer this type of knowledge as I'm able to receive this type of knowledge. So I would feel like going back to square one and also being inspired by yourself too. You know, looking at old videos of yourself or like old music of yourself and being like, or old paintings, whatever it is, old texts, and just being like, wow, this is where I was and this is where I am, you know what I mean? And this was the process in between. And then be like, oh wait, why I never used this one? This was good. I got some signatures in here. This is my style, you know what I mean? That individuality, because if we talk about, like, for example, hip hop as a culture, it's a melting pot, you know, but we need different elements to melt in. A lot of people are just trying to fit into like a certain category to be like, this works, but it's just like what resonates with you. You know what I mean? That's what's going to give you longevity. Everyone's a moment for now, but like if you want longevity, I feel like you need to build a foundation that's really truly upon stuff that you value, you know?
Yeah, that's powerful what you're saying. And have you ever thought about writing a book, or what would a book look like if you write a book?
My last interview, I said I was going to write a book.
Okay.
Yeah, my last interview, I said I was going to write a book. I'm in the process of doing it. It was a short film, but once again, industry, it was a short film that I worked on, no shade to nobody, and the videographer took like over a year and it wasn't working out properly. There was no communication, so I was just like, you know what, because of the energy, even though the video was done, I scrapped the whole thing and I was like, we're going to start over.
Okay.
So even though I invested in it and everything, I was like, I don't want to see this and it not be sincere, you know what I mean? It looks good, but it didn't feel good because the exchange behind the scenes wasn't happening the way that I wanted it to, you know? So yeah, a book, even like maybe thinking of an audio book. I feel like that would be interesting too, but I love to write and I'm working on the pages and stuff is coming together, but I want it to be like on some Maya Angelou type energy, you know what I mean? I really wanted to have pockets of poetry and different things where people can relate to one sentence or more, you know, whether it resonates or not, just make it interesting.
And they could go back and read that part again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we talk about what you bring to the entertainment industry or what you bring to your community, what are some things that you'd say that you're able to bring to the entertainment industry that your competitors may not?
Wow. I'm like, how can I answer this humbly? I'll bring the drip. No, I'm kidding. What do I bring? I feel like comfort is one thing that I hear that I bring a lot. Comfort, like making people feel comfortable in the space to just be themselves, because I'm very goofy as a person in general. Like I'm comical, I love to laugh. I feel like one of the gateways to allowing yourself to access vulnerability is also being able to laugh at yourself. You know what I mean? So I feel like I bring that type of energy to the industry in general, where I can be on set with people that are working for Warner Brothers, same way I can be on set with people that work for Les Trois Accords, or just someone who's doing their local thing by themselves, and I treat them all like they're on the same level. So energetically, everyone responds like we're all on the same level. You see what I'm saying? So then that creates that understanding of like, yes, on paper, I might be this type of creative director. I have 27 years in the game. I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then I have this person over here who only has 10 years in the game, but they have that type of drive. So I'm realizing instead of feeling like I'm over them, maybe there's something that I can transfer to them in that moment. So like just based on comfort, sometimes you get a lot of gems that you might not see on YouTube or on Google and stuff like that. It's really that building those connections. So I feel like what I bring to the industry, or what I bring when it comes to my classes, is comfort, a space for you to allow yourself to just be. Yeah.
It goes back to your word of 2024, sincere.
Word.
Like, you know, being able to help people be comfortable in themselves, in their own skin. That's a sincere part of yourself, that you're actually helping people get to that point, you know?
It's like whether you like me or not, you're going to know from jump.
That's it.
You know what I mean? I'm going to know from jump, and it's going to be real. That doesn't mean that respect doesn't need to be a thing. You know, I respect everybody, even to this point where I am now when disrespected. I'm like, I respect myself enough to respectfully move over here and let you, you know. So, yeah.
Got it. And you're currently running workshops with your creative conscious movement. What has been the most inspiring moment thus far?
Well, besides working in studios and working for the school board, teaching like after school activities and stuff like that and doing different things, I also have my own program that I established in 2017, where the idea is to have a conscious movement. It's a space where people can come and not feel like it's like a drop-in format, which normally drop-in formats is like you come in, you learn a choreography, you learn just physical movement, and then you're out. You don't really get to develop with the person. You might not see them the next week. You don't really get to have like a program where you get to build longevity and feel like you're being mentored, and there's someone there to be like, okay, yo, what's going on today? Like, just release. The first cipher, I'm going to say, the first cipher, when we pull up to class, we don't even speak. We put music on and it's just, okay, release your day. You know what I mean? I'm able to create a space where we can really dance and connect, but then also train to evolve to the next level. Whether you want to be a teacher, whether you just want to be a dancer, or whether you want to just like I said, release. This is a space that I've created. And yeah, what was the question again?
Right. So just to
What
just
was
to
my
have,
program?
yes, exactly, that you're running workshops, and it's called creative and conscious movement, right?
It's called For the Love of Body Language. Yeah,
For
I
the
think that's
love
why
of
I went
body.
off, because I was trying to explain what it was.
Right. Okay. Got it. For the love of body language.
Yes.
But it's a creative and
Conscious movement.
creative and conscious movement, right?
Yeah, revolving around hip hop culture.
Right. Amazing.
Word.
And so your most inspiring moment thus far?
My most inspiring moment thus far is being able to step into a space where people don't know each other from all different backgrounds, ethnicities, ages, from like someone in my class is 13 and someone's 46 and they're in there and they're just like everyone's dancing, enjoying themselves. And we just showed up. So to me, that's amazing to see that like music and dance is really a language. Whether you're beatboxing, whether you're singing, whatever it is that you're partaking in, when you show up to a creative space where it's just like, okay, let's go, do what you do. And it's like, I'm not even quite sure what I do, but the fact that someone's like, do what you do,
Right.
you know what I mean? So that's my most inspiring moment. Like someone showing up that I know doesn't usually dance, doesn't usually move, and then they just see everyone else getting down, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna move too. And then you see them break out of that shell like an instance, and you're just like, sometimes it just takes someone to be like, go ahead, and like mean it. Go ahead, do your thing, you know what I mean? So that's my most inspiring thing. People just really getting down.
And there's no age limit, right? You said 13 and 46?
It's 13, yeah, it's 13
Okay.
plus.
13 plus.
Yeah.
And you've had
And consent of the parent form, stuff like that. They have to pick them up, there's all that, yeah.
okay. And you've had people over 30, 40?
Yeah.
Actually, oh, that's amazing.
Or it show up to like, I want to freestyle for 11 weeks, and you're just like, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, because we do different things in my program. It's really around hip hop culture and the 9 elements. So sometimes there'll be someone that'll come in just for physical conditioning, or we might have a rap activity or do different things like that. I'm really tending it to understanding that all these different outlets are things that you can just explore to allow yourself to partake deeper in the dance, because this is focused for street dancers. But the way that I do it is with all of hip hop culture. So not thinking that just doing a dance step that's called the Roger Rabbit or the Running Man makes you hip hop. Do you understand? It's like, what are you putting into the step? Who are you doing the step? That's a great way for you to develop how many different ways to do one thing.
You said 9 elements of hip hop. Most people don't necessarily know there's 9 elements. Could you add the last 2 elements that people have no clue?
So what are the 5 that you know?
The 5, great question.
So
So I'll go with well, I already went to the spiritual one, but I know there's breakdancing, DJing, MCing, and I'll let you finish.
so there's the consciousness.
That's it.
Consciousness, yes, which is one that I feel like a lot of the time we don't really talk about too much, but it's what created this culture. It's the foundation of it, the base of it is that awareness of like, we can move mountains with the words that we say and
That's
the
it.
CDs that we scratch and the moves that we do, you know. Break dancing, which is breaking is the dance style, but back in the day, all the most of the DJs, like DJ Kool Herc, would just say break dancing, because they would put, whether you did electric boogaloo, doesn't matter the style. If it had to do with that, they would just put us all in the category, because dancers would dance to the break. So if you dance to the break in the song, you were considered a break dancer. So break dancer is not necessarily people that just do power moves and they're doing top rock. That's breaking. So when you were called a break dancer, it's because you did like everything that had to do with dance for the culture. There's graffiti writing.
Right. That's it.
There's beatboxing. There's street entrepreneurship, which is what we partake in as well. There's DJing,
Yes.
turntabling, which are 2 different things, and streetwear, and then street lingo. Yeah, so if you're walking around saying yo and giving people dabs, you're partaking in hip hop culture and in Black Power movements as well, because the dab comes from Black Power movement. So it's like knowing why we do things and the symbolism behind it is going to change the energy you have when you give someone a dab. It's a different kind of respect, you know. So yeah,
Educating people, I like that.
I had to educate myself. So.
We're in the hat of a professor, also, you know. Absolutely. So when we look at creativity, what if I ask you, what does a creative need? What does a creative rate? Let's say we're watching this interview right now for the first time. What does a creative need to do in order to say, okay, you know what, Word, I want you to be a mentor. I'm a mentee at the moment. What's the first step? What's the first thing you need to do?
I feel like I teach a lot. Like I'm open to teaching everybody, but when it comes to mentoring specifically, it's a different type of bond. It's a different type of understanding. It's a different type of vulnerability. I feel like if someone wants to be mentored by me, it's first accepting who's mentoring you. Yeah, because I come with different methodologies and different philosophies and ways of thinking. So if you want to learn from me, it has to be more than surface level. It has to be more than just, I like the way you dance, I like the way you spit, it's cool, teach me what you do. I like the way you model, teach me what you do. It's like, no. Do you understand the message of what I'm trying to do? Because that's also going to be part of what I'm trying to pass on. You know, we're not just here to do the step. I'm going to give the same. First class, you show up, we talk for 45 minutes just about the history. Everyone sits down. They're like, wait, we were supposed to be dancing. I'm like, we're learning about what it is that we're going to partake in before we get involved in. We're going to dance for 10 weeks. But what is the dance that we're doing, and who does it come from, and why are we doing it? You know, and is the dance a gateway because you want to be a beatboxer? Is that maybe what it is? Is understanding that being a beatboxer comes from your vocal cords. It's the inside of you. So if you're humming while you dance, is that going to change the way that you dance? Connecting just to yourself in deeper ways, you know, because I feel like all this is conscious movement.
The smallest things can make a difference.
Word, for real, for real.
Right. And you talked about leaving Montreal, going to Toronto. We touched on that. Could you give us an insight into one of your most bitterest and sweetest sacrifices to get where you are today?
So this is something I've never said on an interview. I ended up homeless for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to sacrifice my well-being and my comfort because I'd rather do that than be in places where I'm not respected. You know, so for a while I was like, okay, I'm not gonna work at this place, and I'm not gonna live in this place because here there's racial things going on, and over here as well there's things going on that don't work. So just on a personal standpoint, I had made a sacrifice. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go stay somewhere else. And then from a business standpoint, it was like, I also have to leave my job at this time because in the midst of all this happening, so then not being able to pay bills but still teaching at the same time, and then being in a women's shelter behind that, it was a sacrifice I had to make of getting up and showing up and coming to give people that good energy that I just transmuted, but then going back and having no home. So now having obviously my own place and stuff like that, to being blessed with that, but it was the fight to continue.
Okay.
You know,
and how long did that last? Like,
it was on and off for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on and off for a little bit because I'm someone, I need to find a place that really resonates. You know, so I had to find a place where I know I can be here for a while and I can build, everything's comfortable here, you know what I mean? So also in terms of working, I've had to sacrifice a lot of jobs because I will show up, and if something happens that I feel like goes against my morals, no matter how good the paycheck is, I will sacrifice that paycheck and go hustle. If it's summertime, I'm gonna be street dancing. Like, we go back to the root of it, you know. So
true hustler.
Yeah.
Great. And one saying I always heard, and I like to say, is your current situation is not your final destination.
Word.
Right. So you kept that, you probably kept that in your mind, or even the way you were moving, that telling yourself, okay, I don't necessarily need this paycheck, even though if my current situation is not what I wish it would be.
I wouldn't recommend that
though.
Get your bag.
I'm still gonna find a way, a better way.
Word, of course, because there was a way. I wouldn't have done that if there was no way. You understand what I'm saying? So because I knew there was a way, I was like, I'm gonna go this way. It's a little bit more rocky, but I got the shoes for it, so you know I'm gonna walk this way.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's been said for years that today's hip hop is becoming more pop. What is your counter argument when you hear that?
Ooh, I feel like hip hop is hip hop,
Right.
and hip hop will always be hip hop, and hip hop knows hip hop, so hip hop will continue to evolve as hip hop.
Yeah.
Now, people trying to come in and change things and do things their own way, they're just being innovative and creative, I would feel, if I had to say that like that. But it's just understanding that hip hop is hip hop. So as soon as you start to call it other things, pop, which is popular culture, it's no longer hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, my argument would just be that hip hop is hip hop, and hip hop is going to stay hip hop. It evolves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But hip hop is essentially a culture.
Right.
It's an entity. It's more than just a sound.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's a movement. You know, so I feel like it's always going to be forever evolving, and it's not something that's, I feel like, is going to disappear, because I feel like that's the worry of people. They think like, oh, real hip hop is dead and this, that, blah, blah. But I'm like, there's no such thing, because back in the day we made music about everything too. You know what I mean? It's just that the purpose of it, I feel like, was probably a little bit different. You know, now it's more about getting the bag and being flossy and this, that. But there's still conscious rappers. There's still, depending on what you want to listen to, you know, there's even hip hop that seems a bit more alternative, but then that would be alternative hip hop. But hip hop is hip hop. You see what I'm saying?
Can't box that in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see people saying jazz hop and all these different things. Like it is what it is, but like hip hop comes from jazz. So hip hop is hip hop. You know why we keep changing the name to something that's already what it is,
Right.
and we're doing what it is, but we're calling it something different. You see what I'm saying? So
100%. And how do you manage to bounce back after setbacks? Let's say you go through some, hey, I got to figure out something else.
how do I bounce back from setbacks? Time to myself. I'm very big on that. Like, before, I'd say I was really more introverted, like partying every day of the week or having to kick it all the time. And I've really taken the time to step back and be like, okay, if I need a day to rejuvenate, I'm really going to take this day to rejuvenate. Otherwise, everything else is just going to go downhill. So I really take days where I step back. It's like today I'm not gonna take a shower. I'm gonna take a bath and then take a shower after. Like let me just sit down, get some Epsom salt. Like really cater to the self. That self-love ritual. I feel like those things are important. So yeah, taking the time to be like, okay, I'm gonna stop to get my tea. I'm gonna wake up early so I can have my tea at my interview because that's what's gonna make me feel good. Doing those little things that make you feel good throughout your day, even when you're going through hard times. Like also the people around me when it comes to connecting, you know, the people that I teach or the people that teach me, but especially being able to transfer knowledge to the next generation. Like when I was going through a lot of difficult things, I was like, I represent something now, so I'm gonna show up and represent that. Even though this is happening behind the scenes, I'm still able to contribute to my community. You see what I'm saying? But
Got it. You figure out a way to pouring into yourself and then pouring into others. That's the best way. Like what's the saying? You can't pour from an empty cup. From an empty cup. So you're doing it.
Purpose makes me feel like I have to continue or being of service.
Right. So we're going to go into this segment called "If You Had a Chance To." Right. If you had a chance to segment, and it's about investing either in basically investing in yourself, but by making that decision, you're investing in others as well. So if you had the chance either to get coached by Missy Elliott or Salt and Pepper, who would you choose and why?
Okay, so I have a question for you, but it depends coached how. Like, are we talking about, like, because Missy does a lot.
That's it.
Missy does a lot. Like, I don't know if Salt and Pepper they produce, they do this, that. I don't know if, but Missy does a lot. So I would have to say Missy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily when it comes to like her penmanship, which is great because like Missy just makes hits after hits after hits, but more of her vision, the creative mind of like how she comes up with these sounds to make people move, because she makes music that makes people move. She's been consistently. It's like, how do you consistently get us to get up and get out of our chairs? Like,
serious.
How do you do that? I would like to have an insightful conversation. It wouldn't even be like, show me how to get money, show me how to do this and that. I'd be like, pick your brain. Like, how do you achieve such level of creativity constantly? Because I know sometimes I have creative blocks, so I'm just like, I don't know what to do no more. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, maybe that's what I need to do, just not know for a bit. You know, so.
And get inspiration from not knowing.
And experiencing. A lot of the time I feel like if you don't know, it's because you haven't experienced anything. You need to go out and experience something, you know, for real.
Okay. And looking ahead, what do you want people to know about you, and what do you want your legacy to be for the next generation?
Knowing that I'm unapologetic. And when I say that, it's like I own what I do. Hence the word professor. We think university, but it's also an action of like affirming, you know, and claiming something. So for good, for bad, better or worse, I am in full, or I try to always be myself. So I will always bring a level of sincerity and honesty, whether people like it or not. Like if you're an artist and you send me your track and I'm like, I don't resonate with the song, I'm not gonna just choreograph to your music, because I feel like I'm taking the money, but I'm also not contributing the passion. Right. You see what I'm saying? So let you go find someone that's passionate about your song and that can also eat. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. That's what it is. My legacy is just like, if you work with me, no, we're going to do something abstract for sure. It's going to be abstract. It's going to be out of this world. It's going to be different. I'm trying to step away from doing stuff that's just mainstream that we see all the time. Let's get creative with it. So my legacy would definitely be just trying to find ways to be truer to self. You know, and just letting people have fun. Like peace, love, unity, having fun. The 5 pillars. Peace, love, unity, and having fun. Street knowledge, you know, consciousness.
Before I end off with this last question, I also want to mention something that you told me that I wasn't even aware of, that you were able to work with the Raptors. You work with a lot of big name. Well, you work with a lot of great entities. What would you say was something that gave you that opportunity to work with some of the, you know, quote unquote big names, and how was that opportunity presented?
Freestyle. Freestyle is the root of everything for me. Really, to be honest, the moment that I decided, like, I'm going to learn the formula, the technique, but then I'm going to switch up the words, switch up the flow, and do things my way. Like, I showed up to an audition for the Fix You Raptors, like, chant, and I freestyled. And they took my freestyle and were like, we don't even want you to do the choreography. You're going to freestyle at this part right here. And I was like,
and could you elaborate on freestyle? You mean freestyle just showing up?
Freestyle dance, yeah. Same thing when it comes to emceeing. I was freestyling. They're like, yo, can we try to see what we can do with you? And, yeah, it's just, like, taking stuff in the moment. You know what I mean? So I would say, like, if it comes to being a part of, especially something that's greater than yourself, keeping that part of freedom within the essence of who you are is what's going to make you unique. Because everybody can walk from right to left. We have the same technique to walk, but like everyone has their own kind of walk, their own swag, their own lean. And even depending on how you feel that day, You know what I mean? Depending on how you feel that day, you might lean a little less. You might slouch a little more. You might, you know what I mean? You might stand up straight. You might walk a little bit faster. You know, you might put a switch in your hip. It's
Right.
like,
Like a robot.
you see what I'm saying? Like, but the technique behind opposite arm to opposite leg, it still remains what it is. You know what I mean? Because neurologically, we're programmed a certain way. So it's just like, okay, what happens if I do this instead of doing this? You see what I'm saying? So,
True.
yeah.
It was a pleasure having you and having this great discussion. I want to ask, how could viewers stay in touch with you after watching this conversation?
I feel like it's so random saying this, but like if it comes to professionally, email me. Send me an email, professorword11@gmail.com. And if it comes to just visualizing what I do, you can follow me on Instagram. Word Lunaticus T, so WORDLUNATICUSSTEEZ. But yeah, and I really mean that though. If it's not a professional tip, email me. Because y'all be in my DMs talking crazy mad long, and I'm just like, send me an email, and I feel bad because I just read it. So it's just like,
They're gonna
keep
think
it professional.
They're gonna think you're the therapist or something. Perfect. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Keep going. Just keep going. That's all I gotta say.
Word. Likewise.
Appreciate it.
Likewise. I gotta get one of your books too.
All right.
I'm gonna give my game up.
It's a wrap. Thank you all.
Thank you.